Okay. And
AKA.
AKA, oh, that's right. AKA what? And what's an AKA? What does that mean?
What was your name?
AKA.
What was your
Yep,
name,
Alpha
baby?
Kappa Alpha.
Good
Oh
enough.
yeah, okay. You were telling me about your dad, and what's his name?
And his name was Ben Albert Wade.
Ben Albert Wade.
Hmm.
And you all were from Greenville. Were you from Greenville?
I was from Greenville. My dad, uh, B.A. Wade, which was he mostly used his initials
Okay.
to present himself to others, and so he would say, "My name is B.A. Wade." I never heard him say any of the others,
Yeah.
but in the documents that I've seen about my dad, uh, that's how he's presented.
You know, I do believe that this is just my thought
Hmm.
that there was a reason why blacks didn't give their whole name.
Why do you think?
I think it has something to do with the racial situation going on.
Hmm.
I don't know exactly why, but I know that they probably would tell each other why. Uh, because why would they identify their whole name to people in the public, type of thing?
Hmm.
I'm thinking that was something that they probably did. I'd love to know more about how people think about that as well. But
Hmm.
anyway, um, so because a lot of people just put their initials,
Hmm.
first and second initial, and then put their last name,
Hmm.
and that's how they presented themselves. But you told me about my excitement actually is
Hmm.
about Southern Advocate
I
because
see.
you told me that your dad was involved with Southern Advocate. But let me just say before you tell me about that,
Hmm.
how excited I am to be able to find somebody to talk about this newspaper, specifically about this museum, because we're about to do a whole collection of newspaper uh, articles and newspapers, and the Southern Advocate has been the most fascinating newspaper that nobody is talking about, but that newspaper represented information for the whole Mississippi Delta,
Right.
not just Mound Bayou.
That's
It
right.
was like Mound Bayou was at on. It was like Mound Bayou was the broadcaster
Right.
for what went on in the Mississippi Delta,
Hmm.
and Mound Bayou was telling everybody about it.
That's right.
So the Southern Advocate presented that, and it was a very positive newspaper.
Hmm.
It wasn't negative. It reported some things that may have been negative, but even in all of what I read, they were so positive. They gave accolades to all of the people who did successful things, and talked about even when people got married and when children were born and
Right.
all of those beautiful things about life. They reported that in Southern Advocate, and then they would go and tell other people about that. I don't know if I unlocked that door. Can you check to see if somebody got locked out? Maybe, I don't know. But anyway, um, it sounds like somebody did get locked out. So tell me about Southern Advocate. Tell me about um, your dad.
Hmm.
How much you remember about Southern Advocate and all of that.
So I come along after the major history of Southern Advocate.
Okay.
Uh, the
Go ahead.
So that uh, Southern Advocate, to my understanding, in terms of what I've seen online, it begins at least as far back as 1933.
Okay.
I am not born until 1943,
Okay.
and Oh
What
my
is it, a long time ago?
Who is she?
This is my daughter. That's my son.
That's the son. Okay. You got it. Okay.
So the thing I was struck by when I read the issues of the Southern Advocate was the church history too. I mean, if you really want to know about what's happening in the churches
Right.
at that time,
Right.
you've got a on-staff reporter, the Southern Advocate, saying, in these 4 pages of this newspaper, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know, at least the important stuff that you need to know. I'm going to tell you about it in these 4 pages for this week, and then I will continue, what I've started in the next edition, and on and on.
Right.
The Southern Advocate may have introduced my dad to Reverend Henry Humes. Reverend H.H. Humes is another initial. To Reverend H.H. Humes. And so Reverend Humes, reading the Southern Advocate, because that's one thing he did well, he decides that after my dad leaves the Army, he's going to hire the best person he can hire to run a newspaper that he wants to start. So my dad is in Clarksville, Tennessee with my mom,
Okay.
and they're in the Army. My dad is finishing up, and he needs a job. And my mother wants to have everybody come back home. She misses her dad, and on the other side of the family. So they want to come back to Lamont, Mississippi.
Okay.
And so he comes back with her, and that's where I come into the picture in 1943. 1 year after this great year in the history of Mound Bayou, because that 1 year in 1942, as you've already stated, is the year where the Knights and Daughters of Tabor come to the area, and Reverend T.R.
T.R.M. Howard. Yeah.
Also comes into the picture.
Right.
And Taborian Hospital comes
Right.
into the picture.
Right.
And those are all things that just mystify me. I mean, I love reading about that history, for example. That's great history, because I think Taborian Hospital probably had some effect at providing a model for President Roosevelt to start his health policy, because those two almost had to influence each other.
It did.
Mm-hmm.
This is where the first HMO was,
Mm-hmm.
and of course people modeled behind what they did here,
Yeah,
because it was successful.
that's right.
It was so successful that people that paid into
Mm-hmm.
that, if that's what you're talking about,
Yes.
when they paid into it, they came got in this hospital. My dad spent 3 days in the hospital. When he left, they gave him $100. So, I mean, what is that?
Yeah.
You know, and it's because they had the ability to do that. And not only that, when I was a kid, and I was a part of it, my dad was paying 36 cents a month for me. And I remember I had schedules to go to get a check over. So you just go to the doctor for them to check over you, you know. So I was excited, but one of my excitement was they had the prettiest nurses.
Henry's like, look. I be ready.
What you gotta say about
I
that?
have nothing to say to you.
But they did. Those nurses were and they were beautifully dressed. You remember when nurses had these things on their heads,
Yeah.
I see the pictures.
Say what now?
I see the pictures.
Yeah. So and then they starch
Yeah.
was real. Back in the day, those dresses they had on looked like they just stood out, and it was perfectly starched. You didn't see a crease.
Not one.
And when you went to Taborian Hospital,
Mm-hmm.
you would see those nurses. They looked so good, dressed up, and they were uniformed.
Right.
And to me, that was just it said a whole lot to me.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we were part of that organization. You were part of that HMO that brought us there. Then another thing at Taborian, they had a cafeteria. So hello.
Yeah.
So this is not hospital food over there. What they called hospital food, that was not hospital food over there. People came from all around just to eat at the hospital. So they had a nice cafeteria over there as well. So go ahead.
So when they come back to Mississippi, then at the desire, with the desire of caring for their parents,
Uh-huh.
as the parents were aging, then Reverend Humes decides to hire my dad to edit a paper called the Delta Leader.
Okay. I remember the Delta Leader.
And the Delta Leader is is online,
Okay.
and there that becomes the paper in Greenville per se,
Right.
So it's the most popular black
Right.
newspaper in that town,
Right.
and it tries to emulate basically the Southern Advocate.
Right.
And my dad is also influenced by naming the Advocate. He takes the Advocate and his print shop, his full-time job becomes the Advocate print shop.
So his full time was the Advocate, the Southern Advocate's print shop.
Yes. He
What years are we talking about?
those are the 50s.
Okay.
So, as I said, I was born at this Army camp in Clarksville, Tennessee in 1943.
Okay.
And then by 1946, I am in Greenville. And I'm 3 years old at that point. My dad, by this time, is the editor of the Delta Leader, and so Reverend Humes is the person who my dad reports to, and he tells him, what he wants in the paper, and then the family eventually prints the paper.
Gotcha.
My mother's a full-time teacher. She's coming home to work in the print shop. 2 jobs.
You remember the print shop?
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember? Can you kind of describe? There was a print shop here. There was little metal letters and things.
That's right.
That's right. So tell me, can you describe how that happened? What that was about?
Well, to operate a print shop, you need a printing press.
Okay.
And my mother, every time I would put my hand, you know how fathers are, they will want you to kind of demonstrate, your mettle. by having you run the press.
Right.
And so here you are, and every time my poor mother is doing because of the danger that I could hurt my hand by having the press, you know,
I got you.
catch
Yeah.
catch my hand,
Right.
and I'd be scarred for life.
Right.
So it's because the press goes like this.
Okay.
And so you put your hand in the press to be able to deposit the paper, which will then be printed. But let's say you're slow getting your hand out, then you
Then
could
your hand's gone.
then your hand's gone.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Did someone have to manually put all the letters in place?
And, oh yeah, now the setting of type is a different part of it.
Type setting.
So the end process is what I just described, but the preparation for that is setting a hand instrument that you hold in your hand, and then you have a program or whatever you're going to print from that sometimes is handwritten, and then you then have cases of these letters that Mr. Johnson has talked about, and you put those letters into lines in your hands, and so it takes time to do that, and I was pretty good at that, at that typesetting part of it.
Did that help with the spelling bees later?
Yeah, yeah, there's a definite.
Yeah.
I learned
Makes
how
sense.
to spell because of those typesetting examples. Coming home every day, and for a while it was fun. But then you say to yourself, I can't do this the rest of my life. This is too messed up. So,
And where did the ink go? Or how did the ink work for you?
okay, there was a part of the printing press that had rollers in it, and the rollers would be how you would apply the ink. Yeah.
So there was a Mr. Peterson here that ran a printing press here. It was right across the street. I was a kid in the 60s that I would run in there and just peep in his printing press. It was a little small place. But
And that wasn't Mr. Isaac Peterson.
exactly.
Mr. Isaac Peterson, I knew a different way. He was the man who was on the edge of town.
Uh-huh.
He had a little shop. I'd see it,
Right?
just
Okay.
like it was happening. And every time my dad would come to town, he would drive most of the time. And when they stopped, when my parents stopped at Mr. Peterson's service station
Okay.
to get gas, I would run out and try to get them to buy me some candy.
Okay.
Every time.
Okay.
And until I left for college. And so that was my experience with Mr. Peterson. He was
Well-
always a nice man
Really and quiet.
and quiet.
He was. I would peek my head into his place,
Mm-hmm.
which was a printing shop, which actually was right across the street on this end of town.
Mm-hmm.
And he just all he said, "What you doing?" or something like that.
Yeah.
But he never just did anything. I just would peep because he would be in there, And later on, we were able to get in there because I think it was out of commission,
Mm-hmm.
and we were able to see those little pieces, the print pieces and all of that. Today, I was just saying, oh, if we could have just kept those things, you know, for museum purposes. But anyway, yeah,
That would have been the thing to do to keep
That-
them for museum purposes.
That's exactly right.
Because, after looking back on it,
yes,
I could see my mother's position. You know, that I don't want my child, you know,
right,
having to stick.
without his hand.
That's right. That's right. I could see her position.
Yeah. So anyway, I appreciate you giving me this much. My wife is calling me, and I need to get off of this.
I have a question then.
Uh-huh.
So I've seen a number of citations